And I want to ask you, are you, tired of that networking advice that just doesn't seem to work anymore? But here's the truth. The days of networking just for the sake of networking, they're over, they're gone. And really, it's about now the connections that matter and the conversations that count. That's really what it's about. And so, why waste your time in 2025 on empty exchanges when you could be really building the connections, building the bridges to what really matters in terms of your next opportunity? Networking in 2025 has changed. We got to get used to that and deal with it, and that's why I wanted to teach about this subject today. In 2025, networking is no longer about shaking every hand you can shake, collecting every business card you can put your fingers on, or chasing every event. It really is about creating real intentional connections that actually moves the needle. So today I want to teach about 7 strategies, proven strategies that can really make a difference in 2023. And we'll look at how and why these strategies work now and will be even more crucial in the upcoming years. And then, most importantly, because I like to, besides sharing the insights and my perspective, I want to give you practical, simple tools that you can use to build a robust network. Okay. And so you might be asking, well, what's going to make these strategies or these secrets you sharing with us, Dr. Geneva, so different? Well, I want you to know that, and for those of you I haven't met yet, I'm Dr. Geneva, and I've built my entire career on developing meaningful relationships that get real results. I've raised over $100 million for business and community causes and established more than 50 diverse partnerships across public and private sectors. And as a strategist and coach, working with high achieving leaders like yourselves, I really see what's coming in 2025. And I know what works and what doesn't. And most importantly, what you need to do differently to succeed in this changing landscape. And the strategies I'm going to share with you are going to help you land that next big job opportunity, make a successful career switch, or move up the ladder in your current organization, build powerful partnerships that can open doors for you and create connections that can lead to board seats and commissions and great appointments to community activities. Plus, I'm going to share a surprise bonus at the end. So you need to stay till the end because this bonus I want to share with you is a secret that most people overlook, but makes all the difference. In fact, more difference than you can imagine. So after our time together today, my promise is that you'll walk away with clear strategies you can use tomorrow. You can think about during the holidays, but for sure, you can implement in 2025. You'll have some fresh perspectives on building meaningful connections and some simple tools to prepare you for networking for 2025. So I got my notes here because I want to make sure that I, you know, get everything there is to get. So let's dive right in with strategy secret number 1. And I'm going to tell you, this is a problem I've had myself. And so I really wanted to bring this to you first. And the secret is you need to stop leading with your years of experience. Mhm. So, here's what happens in networking conversations all the time. Let me know if you've had this experience. So you meet someone, and first thing out the gate, you say, "Well, I've been in HR for 25 years," or "I've spent 2 decades in tech leadership." And then silence. Really, the conversation goes nowhere. It dies because you've just closed the door instead of opening it. The fresh perspective I want to give you is, instead of making your experience a period at the end of a sentence, turn it into a question mark. "What you talking about, Dr. Geneva?" Well, what I'm saying is, you're going to make it about what you're learning and discovering right now. So instead of, "I have 20 years of marketing experience," try, "I'm fascinated by how AI is transforming content strategy. Just last week, I experimented with dot, dot, dot." Instead of, "Well, I've been in finance for 15 years," I want you to try, "I'm currently exploring how fintech, finance tech, is reshaping wealth management for Gen X. Have you noticed how?" And then go on with the conversation. Instead of saying, "I've managed teams for decades," try, "I'm diving deep into reverse mentoring right now. Are you aware of it? My junior team members are teaching me amazing things about da, 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 da." Get it? And I can tell you, this is one that I had to get out of the habit of doing, because I would say, um, "I've had 40 years leading organizations and raising millions of dollars." But that's not what counts. It really is something different. So now I say more of, "I want to share what happens for you when leaders stop looking for the next big thing and start seeing the subtle shifts that signal real change." So it's more of that wisdom, that foresight that I'm talking about, rather than the years of experience and da 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 da. That don't matter. So instead of listing those years of experience, I say, "Let me tell you what I'm noticing about how relationships are evolving in this AI driven world. What I'm seeing, the patterns are fascinating." Okay. Or, "Let me tell you what I'm seeing on the horizon for leaders who want to make a real impact in 2025. So instead of talking about all my years of experience or all the things that you've done, we're really talking about how we've used those years of experience and wisdom to see things, to achieve results, uh, to offer perspectives that perhaps no one else is thinking about." And why this works is because it really talks about what you've learned, and you invite others into an ongoing conversation rather than just stating a simple fact about yourself. And it really shows this growth mindset that, and it's a fascinating, because it also signals that despite your experience, and you've had years and years and years and years of it perhaps, but you're still curious and growing. Okay, because you're looking at new things and thinking about fresh things, and it makes you relatable, because everybody needs to learn something new, and it shows that you have a common ground regardless of your experience level. So, for those of you in midlife, my midlifers out there, those of you in 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, this is especially for you. And that's why I led off with this. You know, our experience is fantastic, but we don't have to lead with it. Okay. We can show the results of our experience. And then by putting out things like this, identifying current industry trends we're interested in or really curious about, this helps us, really still positions us as still growing. So here's some specifics. So before any event, I want you to identify um, 2 to 3 current trends that you're generally curious about. And you prepare perhaps a specific story also that you learned, and something new you've learned recently, or think about one question that connects your experience to your current challenges. And then during the conversations, you're going to listen for those opportunities that let you bring up these things you just thought about. Okay. And remember to ask others what they're learning or exploring. And then, of course, you still use your follow up power, which, after you've met people, etc., you would follow up with. I found this interesting article about what we talked about. I'm going to talk about that follow up, follow up, follow up all the time because we don't do it enough. And it's very, very powerful. Now, I want you to understand, particularly for my midlifers out there, saying that you completely ignore your experience. But what I'm suggesting is that you don't lead with it and you weave it in naturally into the conversation and make it current and fresh. And of course, you're going to avoid that. Well, back in the day, we used to. Don't nobody want to hear that no more. I mean, they really, really don't. And then also you want to stay open to fresh perspectives, new perspectives, because they might be very different from your historical experience. And so you want to be able to listen. That's the thing. You want to be able to listen in these conversations. So this approach, that is to stop leading with your experience and be curious and listening and be current. And what we've talked about is powerful because it really positions you as being both experienced and current. And this is a powerful combination that can keep the conversations flowing. Okay. Let me know your comments, what you think about this particular secret that I'm sharing. So let me spill the tea on strategy number 2. And that is to be the first. Let me check my notes, make sure I'm getting it right. To be the first to be honest. Because I had to think about this one a lot because I wanted to talk about, you'll typically hear, what you hear, be authentic in your conversations and be real. And so often people say, okay, well, what does that mean? I mean, I tell everything. Well, let me teach you what this means. You see, everyone shows up to networking events wearing oftentimes their professional mask, perfectly polished, no challenge. You ain't got no challenge. You ain't got no struggles. Although you just left that office in major drama, trauma. Okay. But you show up to these events, like, hey, I got it all together. Okay. You ain't got no struggles. But see the results of that. Maybe that worked before. But in 2025, when everyone's real and looking for authenticity, that don't work. And what the result of that is are these surface level conversations that really lead nowhere, and the connections that really feel fake. So the perspective I'd invite you to think about is to, in fact, I dare you to share a real challenge or authentic question first. And this will allow you to break through that superficial barrier oftentimes and create space for genuine connection. And so it's not about oversharing, but we want to be strategically authentic. Okay. So here's some examples. Okay. Instead of saying business is great, everything is perfect, I want you to try. I'm wrestling with how to scale while keeping our culture strong. Have you faced that challenge? Or instead of saying, yeah, our digital transformation is going so smoothly. Yeah, we got them computers in and we switched over. It's going smooth as glass. Try. We're making progress with our digital shift, but getting everyone on the same page, aligned, has been interesting. I'd love to hear what you think and how other teams are handling this. Instead of saying, when you go somewhere to a networking event, well, I'm just here to explore opportunities. Try, I'm actually looking to pivot into finance. And I admit, it feels like learning a new language sometimes. Anyone else here made a similar transition? So do you see the shift I want you to make? And why this works is it when you show it's okay, others feel safe to do the same. It creates this psychological safety net. It also demonstrates leadership because trust. It takes confidence to be the first one to be vulnerable. And you can really put out there real problems to lead real discussions and actually problem solve. And let me tell you something else. People going to remember you because they remember the honest conversations far more than surface level small talk or chit chat. Okay? Now, now listen, let me just tell y'all. So here's the secret now. It's the secret. You got to choose your honesty moments wisely. So you share challenges that others relate to. You work on, you focus on those situations that are real. You're actively working how to improve it, and you frame it as a growth opportunity. It's not just a complaint. Okay. And you name the challenge, you say what you're trying to do with it, and use words like, I'm curious about how you might handle this, or how others might handle it. Or one thing I'm trying to figure out is, or something I never expected is. So, do you see what I'm saying? How you can craft this to be real and honest. Now, like I said, don't drama dump. You ain't giving all the drama that's happening. Everybody got drama. Everybody going through drama. Everybody got drama. So you're not there to drama dump. And you certainly are not there to criticize specific people or companies. And you, of course, wouldn't want to share any confidential information. And I'd advise to stay away from highly personal issues. But once we got those things in place, let me tell you, being first, to be honest, matters. And you can turn that vulnerability into an opportunity because you're sharing things as a thoughtful leader working through real challenges. You're not showing that you're stuck or complaining. Your honesty can open up to vulnerable connections. Remember, you're not trying to be vulnerable for vulnerability's sake. Get some water here. You're really trying to create those authentic connections. Okay. All right. So let me check how we doing on time. Okay. Because I got some more. I want to hope you all got your paper and pen out. I'm going to continue to roll through these. All right. So let me share the next secret strategy that that is really important. And this one is funny because I teach this one all the time, but I'm starting to do it differently now. And you're going to recognize this. And this strategy is be proactive about helping, but do it right. So, the four words that really make a connection when you're networking. How can I help? So I've taught that for years, and it's true. And I will, we've all said it, we've all heard it. But here's what I want to tell you. As I think to the future and what how the trends are going and what is going to work more in the future, this is a vague offer often, and it rarely leads to actual help or meaningful connection if it isn't done right. And what it does is how can I help? It puts all the burden on the other person to figure out how you might be valuable. And most people won't take the time to do that, don't know how to do that. They just don't. So here's this fresh perspective I want to give to you, that instead of offering general help, make specific, actionable offers based on what you learn in the conversation, what you hear, which of course means our listening skills. I could do a whole video on that, on how we just have to uptick our listening skills, and listen to be, to make sure that we understand and how to be more curious. But so in the conversation, you could think about it as sort of like micro helping, those small, immediate actions that can demonstrate your value and reliability. So, what do I mean? Like, oh, instead of saying, well, let me know if you need anything, you want to say, I actually know somebody at, and if it's a company they've mentioned, fantastic. Would you like an introduction to their head of innovation, or whatever the context is? Do you understand what I'm saying? So instead of happy to help however I can, people say that. I've said it a million times, but we want to add that project you mentioned, means we're listening, reminds me of a great case study or an article that I read recently. I can send it to you this afternoon. Would that be helpful? Would that be useful? Instead of, feel free to reach out anytime. Y'all know we say that. I say it all the time. Instead of that, say, I host a monthly mastermind for leaders. Our next meeting is Tuesday. Would you like to join as my guest? Or whatever the situation is. Do you understand? It's a power move. It's that action move. When you offer help now, you want to deliver it, of course, right away within 24 hours. This is very important. But so see how this can really, it extends that, how can I help? So you're really helping with specific action. You're being proactive. And if you do this right, it works. But you got to listen for the triggers, because what you're doing is you're listening in the conversation. You're curious. You're hearing the challenges they face and the resources they're looking for, the connections that they need, the projects they're working on, the goals they're pursuing. You're hearing all of that. And then you're figuring out how you can help. And for my midlifers, those in the 40s, 50s, 60s, I know you've been in probably each and every situation that these people you're talking to, you're meeting, you're wanting to connect with have been through. So I know you got stuff in your arsenal that you can pull out, like, some industry report or some challenge, that some problem you solved 10 years ago, et cetera, or you just solved yesterday. Some articles, some videos, some templates, some frameworks, some strategies that you use. This is what you do. So you make the specific offer to do something. You name what you have or what you've heard. And this kind of knowledge sharing and being there, I wrote a guide that uh, about this exact challenge, or someone that I know, my colleague, just implemented this. Can I connect you? Or that tool you mentioned, I have a template for it. I'll share my link with you as soon as I get back to my office. We're hosting something, or I'm going to an event on this very topic in a couple of weeks. I'll try to add you to the invite list. You got it? Okay, you see why it's different? Now you want to avoid, don't be out there offering all this stuff if you can't deliver it. Okay, don't be doing that. That's worse. Don't promise the introductions if you can't deliver it, if you don't know the people. Don't overcommit yourself. This should not be stress. This should be natural. Okay, so remember these small, immediate actions attached to the 4 great words in networking. How can I help? Plus a specific. So that's what you want to do. And of course, when you follow through, your reputation just skyrockets. Okay, because you've helped somebody and you've stayed true to your word. Okay. The next strategy that I want to share with you, I had to put on the list. I didn't have it on the list. And then I said, well, wait a minute. We in the digital world, I have got to do this strategy. And it's digital presence with a purpose. Okay, so here's the situation. Here's the problem. Most people's digital presence is either a highlight reel that perhaps feels fake, or a stream of random posts that add no value. Now, I know that's not you, but you might know somebody that you can share this video with and give them some pointers, because you're going to be one of them experts after you listen to this video. And lots of folk are busy on social media, but they're really not building real connections. They like collect the connections, but they don't create relationships. So your digital presence in 2025 should be a conversation starter, not a broadcast channel. You want to create meaningful touch points that open doors to real relationships. Think about it as setting up multiple small coffee chats or tea chats, if you're a tea drinker like me. That happen while you sleep. So the framework you want to think about is, you want content that connects. You want to share what you're learning, not just what you know. Post questions, just not answers. Tell stories about your challenges, not just your victories, and share insights from real experiences, not just theory. Now, you could do both, but think about mixing and matching. Ooh, I'm back to some water here. Okay. And so we want to make sure that we do engagement that matters. We share those stories. We take time with creating that digital presence. And we can use all of our platforms and have that kind of variety. But we want to make sure that we can turn the content that we create into connections. So ending our posts with specific questions, replying to comments that you get, moving your discussions to DMs, scheduling these chats virtually, which are fine, making sure that When there is a virtual event, you arrive early and you could use the chat strategically and follow up with people who've attended, um, and ask for help, ask for input. A lot of these strategies, particularly in the digital world, I've put into my Smart Talk success system. And if you're interested in this complete guide to networking strategy that has templates and scripts and questions that you can ask, um, DM me or go to my profile where it says visit my store. You can DM me or you can put the word network in the comments. This is a fantastic guide. And so, again, remember, do not forget that your digital presence, you have to create those real connections online as well. The first touch, make sure you put in meaningful content, and that you have some power phrases for your digital engagement as well. Like, here's what surprised me when. I'm curious how others handle what I'm learning about. Dot, dot, dot. Would love to hear other experiences with. Okay, so these are some power phrases that help with that digital engagement. And you want to make sure that you're doing something on a regular basis. You can do it daily. Just allocate like 10 minutes. Uh, excuse me. And that can make a difference. Remember, your digital presence isn't about being everywhere, it's about being valuable where you are and what matters to your goals. So every post, comment, and share should open doors to real conversations and meaningful connections. Now, strategy 5 is one of my favorites, and it's so simple to use. And it's all about, well, let me tell you what the problem is, that most people let valuable relationships go cold. They feel awkward about reaching out, and years, because it's been years later, perhaps. And when they do reach out, it feels forced or purely transactional. But here's the thing, the secret strategy of reviving dormant connections with purpose works. It does. Your existing network is really a gold mine of opportunities, but perhaps you're wondering, well, how do I reactivate these connections that matter? And again, we go back to the key is to reach out with genuine interest. And, you want to be relevant, not just when you need something. Okay. So you tried the memory, you've been on my mind lately because maybe something happened, when we used to work together, or I read an article that reminded me of the work we used to do together or our conversation, or just be real. I finally started working on this idea we talked about a long time ago, or I really decided I need to switch careers, and I love to have your advice and perspective. And then that way you can reach out. But remember, the connections that you have right here, right now, are very valuable. Strategy 6, audit your network to align with your goals in 2025. Now, you say to me, Dr. Geneva, audit my network? What does that mean? Well, see, many of our networks, they grow randomly, they lead to all kinds of things, and we have hundreds of contacts, but maybe not, we don't know how meaningful they are or how they might be able to help us. So you need to curate your network so it can support you for your future goals and not reflect just your past. So regularly auditing or taking a look at who your connections are really makes sense, particularly when you do that for where you're heading. And you can put them in various categories. There's different categories. You can have your power player categories, your growth connections, the support, the social and support connections. Whatever it is, group your connections into whatever categories work for you, and then analyze that. Um, what what are the things that you need to do to connect with those individuals? What more connections do you need over here in the people who can mentor you or sponsor you? What are the kinds of events that you could attend to meet people to grow a particular aspect of your network? The point is that for 2025, before you go in, if you're interested in really upticking your network for that new job you want, or how you want to move up the ladder in whatever current space you're in, or maybe start a new business and you need new connections, you need to audit what you have now and audit where you want to go, the kinds of connections you need, see where the gaps are and fill them. Remember, your network really is a living ecosystem that needs regular attention. And so by doing this, and this is a perfect time to do it, and you can listen to a lot of my videos that can give you the tips and the tricks and the tools on how to do that. And so the next secret I want to give you before the bonus, so stay for this bonus, but is one that I talk about all the time. This isn't new to you, but I couldn't do a list of the 7 game changing networking secrets without including the power close. And, that's how you end every conversation with an action step. And that's talking about follow up. And many conversations, too many conversations, end weekly with, oh, let's stay in touch. Great to meet you. Oh, it's been wonderful. Those things lead nowhere. They're vague and they're wasting the connection you just built. This goes back to that action thing. So every conversation needs that concrete action step. This reinforces what we've been talking about. So you want to schedule the next interaction. Now that's high energy. If some connection was good and it is working for you, you want to schedule that next interaction. If it's kind of, medium energy, is pretty good, you want to share a specific resource for that. And if you just met somebody and you're not really quite sure what might be the next step, you might want to light follow-up plan, maybe in a couple of days, drop a note. But you want to be very specific. You want to read the energy of the connection and act accordingly, and make sure that you schedule for when you need to, and that you do follow up, because follow up is so important. And too many of us miss it. But for 2025, it's an absolute necessity in your network building game. So now the bonus that I wanted to give you, I'm hoping those 7 secrets are very helpful for you, but I didn't want to end this teaching without putting this bonus on the list, because you're going to say, how's this bonus? And how's this end up here? We talking about networking, and Dr. Geneva, you talking about self-care. See, self-care supports your networking. And I want you to think about. So most of the networking advice you get on these internet streets and the research you do focuses on what to do, say, or share. But there's not many people who talk about this. And that is when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or running on empty, even the best networking strategies are going to fall flat. You show up depleted, and people can feel that lack of energy. So, again, the new perspective is we ain't just talking about bubble baths and Meditation apps, though, those things are good, and I teach all about that. Those are good. That's part of your self-care regimen. But really, what I'm talking about here, self-care relating to networking, is making sure that you do what you need to do to show up as your most energetic, authentic self. And that's a secret weapon for magnetic networking, because you're going to draw people to you. You see what I'm saying? So before events, you need to prepare yourself, get your energy cool, take deep breaths. I know from my introvert friends out there and leaders that I work with who are introverts, they actually, we've developed a process that they go through, because for an introvert, these networking events can drain their energy. And so we practice how you rest and recover before a networking event as well as afterwards. Many people don't think about that, but you prepare your energy, not just your elevator pitch, and you set some clear boundaries, and you take conversational breaks, and you stay hydrated and energized, and notice when your energy drips off, because you leave and you end and exit when you need to. And so it's so important for you to think about your energy and the renewing of that energy, when to say no, what events not to go to, honor your energy peaks, know your dips, take breaks, limit your networking events, really be very intentional about where you go, and create follow-up systems that really help you maximize your energy. So again, self-care does have a role in networking, and I want you to remember it. So why this bonus and the other 7 work, these strategies I've shared with you, is that each of them really challenge the traditional networking norms by breaking the assumptions, for example, that um, you don't, you shouldn't be vulnerable, that you've had connections in the past, you don't need them now. No, we're going to break that. Honesty is a strength, and you can revive dormant connections. These 7 work because they bring fresh perspectives, and I've also given you some actionable steps that you can use right now. So remember that your most powerful networking tool isn't your elevator pitch or your LinkedIn profile. It really is your sustained, authentic energy, taking care of yourself and using these strategies as ways that, in fact, that you can be more robust and more active. So, let's that concludes my teaching here on networking secrets that are game changers for 2025. um Heard from, yes, thank you, her bold voice on IG. How you doing? Yes, I know who that is. She loves the action step. The follow through is important. Great. Any other comments? That I see there's tons and tons of comments. So here's what I want to do. I want to say, because I knew this video we'd be, I had a lot to teach on you. I hope you found it powerful. Okay, let me know in the comments. And I'm seeing in the comments, yes, yes, okay. All right. And again, remember, if you want, hello to everyone. Yes, yes, yes. Let me just say to you that if you want any of uh, these strategies and more, you need my Smart Talk success system, because I put templates and scripts in there, and I've got more videos, got insights on networking, worksheets that you can actually go through to upscale your networking to make it different and better, particularly going into 2025. Put network in the comments or DM me or go to my LinkedIn profile and you'll see in my profile it says visit my store. Just click on that. Love you all. I'm going to see you next Wednesday. Now, let me just tell you, get prepared because all I'm going to be talking about for the next few weeks is getting ready for 2025. And one of the areas that I know that's very important and crucial is vision and goals. You know, what your goal setting look like, what your vision gonna be, what you see yourself doing in 2025. So I got lots of good stuff coming up for you. Watch out for two fabulous conversations. One with Dr. Pierre on life transitions and how you can, how you manage being in that leadership role and dealing with life. I had a great conversation with her. Watch out for that video. It's coming up in the next week or so. And then also, I had a great conversation with Dr. Sandra Smith about rest and relaxation. We don't talk enough about that as leaders, about how we need to put priority on our rest, on making sure that our energy levels are where they're supposed to be. Well, Dr. Smith has this whole new perspective on rest. There are things that you have not heard before. Trust. And so watch out for that video. All these videos and more will be coming before the end of the year as we get ready for 2025. I love you all so much. See you next time. Bye.